And good morning and welcome to Things You Might Have Heard for today. We're going to give you in just a few minutes the top stories that you said were top stories from yesterday in information, politics, current events, and pop culture. We are your go-to supplemental source for both mainstream and unconventional news. We mix it all together so you get some of the big stuff and you get some of the little stuff all in one nice tight package. My name is Jay Clifton Payne, and as the graphic we had for our teaser shows, we're going to talk about Jonathan Majors and his legal troubles, now finally getting some sort of date to get started on that. But we have, of course, 7 other stories from the past day to talk about. They were all vetted by you and curated by me into the narrative we'll have today. So stick with us for that. We'll take good care of you with that one. Make sure you stop by our website. This is theconversationproject.com for more details on what we do here at the Conversation Project. And we're going to go through the headlines fast, and then we'll do the salesy stuff and the promotion stuff. And I got an extra special promotion for this week to promote one of my other projects. So bear with me. We're going to go a little long today, so we'll get to that. Right now, let's get to the news stories that you are wanting to hear about from yesterday, of course. Today happens to be Wednesday, the 21st of June, 2023. Starting off with this one. Judge bars Donald Trump from publicly sharing evidence in secret documents case. I actually had to double check to make sure we didn't do this yesterday because I guess it popped up and was top of mind. But this is something that's kind of been lingering for a bit, and we finally got it into the feeds, and you voted on it to make it tops, or one of the tops for today. A federal judge issued a protective order Monday barring Trump from assessing discovery evidence in his classified documents case without lawyers present and from sharing information with the public and the media. Reinhart's order applies to discovery materials, and any information derived, therefore, violations would result in sanctions. Former President Donald Trump was indicted on a second charge of obstruction of justice, and lawyers said that he was, quote, just one more standard piece of practice. That was just one more standard piece of practice, what he was doing. Now, this seemed familiar. Maybe it was a teaser story tomorrow, and that's yesterday, and that's what got me confused. But essentially, Donald Trump is not allowed to talk about the evidence in the case because it's top secret, which would make sense. But since the issue is he was talking about top secret documents and had them all over the place, that's why this is such a big deal. We'll see how this plays out as the trial shall play out fairly soon, while he's also, quote, on trial for possibly being president number 47. We'll see how that plays out as well. Second story for this morning. Another strike down. Judge strikes down Arkansas ban on gender-affirming care for transgender minors, something that's very close to me, literally, as I live in Arkansas. And these are one of the laws that have just kind of gone into effect with the new governor. I didn't even say new Republican governor, just the new governor who is Republican, that is Sarah Huckabee Sanders, and sort of the fight on woke that no one knew Arkansas was fighting, and the wokeness. Actually, details from the article read as a federal judge struck down Arkansas's law banning a gender-affirming care for children as unconstitutional, saying the law violates the due process and equal protection rights of transgender families. Tim Griffin, the Republican Attorney General, said he would appeal Moody's ruling in the 8th Circuit Appeals Court immediately. Republican lawmakers in Arkansas enacted a ban on abortion in 2021, overriding a veto by former governor, a GOP governor, by the way, Asa Hutchinson. The ruling affects only Arkansans in the ban here. So go deeper into our stories, what we have going on. Basically, children in children's hospitals are being threatened for offering up gender-affirming care, essentially things that allow one gender to begin the transition part or to deal with the transition to another gender. The Republicans are basically saying it is child abuse and somewhat witchcraft. That might be a bit much, but not really. Of course, everyone else is saying they're still children, they still need health care, and this, of course, the real scary part of this is it threatens the care, gender-affirming care for adults who can do what they want to because they are adults. That's what happens here. Now, as we teased, actor Jonathan Majors' domestic violence trial scheduled for August the 3rd. That's the details. He has a date to get things started. He is accused of attacking a woman who was treated at a hospital for minor head and neck injuries. Majors was a fast-rising Hollywood star with major roles, of course, in Creed 3 and Ant-Man, the Wasp, Quantumania. Of course, the Army put in a big bunch of commercials. They had to pull off the air. And, of course, his face, his likeness, is essentially the theme for the next batch of Marvel movies as he plays Kang the Conqueror. There's no, spoiler there. A time bending villain from the comics that would basically turn into whatever is going to be the next big Avengers crossover movie. That's, of course, in danger right now. Charged with misdemeanor, including assault, could be sentenced up to a year if convicted in jail. For Majors, the 33-year-old, is dealing with right now. I'm going to deal with this basically one more time because it was a big deal. And so we have more of a comprehensive number with the story here that we're doing now. Shootings on Juneteenth weekend leave at least 12 dead, more than 100 injured. Mass shootings have killed at least 12 people in communities across the U.S. since Friday and injured more than 100, CBS Chicago Charlie DeMar reported. This is a total number here. More than 800 children and teenagers have been killed by guns so far this year, which includes homicides and suicides, so make sure you note of that. 2021 set a record for the most deaths ever from gun violence. This is something that needs to be addressed. How we address it? It's going to be complicated. Yes, we have a Second Amendment, but we also have, the right to have common sense. We shall see what's going on. And being granted that the people who are shooting people up are usually bad people in these cases, but sometimes they're just general people who just get heated or whatever and decide they're going for their gun for whatever reason. Obviously not the right reason, and that's what we're dealing with here. It's noted that it was a holiday weekend, so these things happen more on weekends. Not sure why. More on holiday weekends, extra day to count, I guess, and people in gatherings that I guess make it what it is. Let's move on to the story we have next, and the headline reads, Taliban carry out second known public execution since seizing power in Afghanistan. The pullout of Afghanistan has been all sorts of crazy, and in the aftermath, as the Taliban decided, oh yeah, we're back in charge now, we're doing Taliban stuff. First promising to not do so much Taliban stuff, and now doing all the Taliban stuff they care to do. The Taliban's rulers executed a man identified only as Amal, who was found guilty of murdering 5 people in 2 separate incidents last year. The execution took place outside a mosque near the offices of the provincial governor. The latest public execution is likely to draw criticism from the international community, which it has. The United Nations called on the country's rulers to halt such practices in May. Now, we're the United States, and we have a death penalty, and we do these things when they don't get stuck in court and laws and things like that. So there is that. So the fact that there are executions for murderers in Afghanistan, not so much the issue. We don't do public executions. We don't do things sort of like that. And we also don't really know the details of the crime, which may or may not matter towards what's happening. Trust me, I have no reason to stand up for the Taliban, but we also don't know the full details, which is kind of the point, the way the Taliban likes it. Here's an interesting story. Gen Z is taking courses on how to send an email and what to wear in the office, according to a Wall Street Journal report. Yeah. So colleges and some companies are hiring people are basically sending Gen Z folks, basically the youngest generations of people coming to work, on how to do more or less basic office things. Part of it is because COVID-19 and basic office things hadn't happened in basic ways for a while, and part of it is just the generational thing that happens. Every time a new generation comes in, there's some bucking of trends and things coming in. Casual Fridays, which seems like a thing that has, like the dodo has basically died and went away, was something that was kind of radical back when it was brought back, a couple decades ago, to more or less appease folks like me, Gen Xers, who, didn't get the point of why we're wearing all these suits. But right now, generations are having some issues, facing some real gap changes in how the old course works, how the new courses work, and how to meld in between. And they're fixing it, at least companies are trying to, by essentially telling people how to make things work. Literally, how to send an email, because teenagers talking in text language don't understand, full sentences. They're taught it, they just don't understand it. Here's another interesting one. Blood red crickets invade Nevada town. Residents fight back with brooms, leaf blowers, snow plows. Yes, tens of thousands of Mormon cricket eggs buried about 8 inches deep in the soil began hatching in late May and early June and have been invading swarms of southern Nevada and causing chaos. The red critters leave behind a stench so horrible, akin to burning flesh, that forces residents to plug their noses while driving. It's just that bad. Residents and workers have tried to get rid of the Mormon crickets using brooms, leaf blowers, pressure washers, and snow plows, but they keep returning. There's a lot of them. State officials have erected signs throughout Echo County, one of the counties that are being battered by these bugs, warning drivers of slick highways. Why? There's dead bugs everywhere. One hospital hired 4 temporary part-time employees to clear the campus of crickets long enough for patients to enter the building. Other hospital employees helped with the cleanup efforts in that particular case. Check out the story for more details on this whole thing. It sounds, like biblical, like literally a plague of red crickets. But these things do happen. Remember, cicadas every year when they come back and they start going, or every 7 years they come back and they start wreaking havoc. And June bugs are a thing. This thing apparently is a thing as well. This final story is a cute one. You need to read it to get really the details in it. The headline's a bit misleading, a bit clickbaity, but it's that way on purpose. Make-A-Wish recipient turns down chance to meet idol Taylor Swift to start pancreas cancer center for kids. Now, it wasn't like, yeah, Taylor Swift's here. Like, nah, dude, I got to go start this scene. It was not quite like that. But a 12-year-old girl who's suffering from pancreatitis turned down the offer to meet her idol to start the work for a charity that would change people's lives. Rebecca struggled with this autoimmune disease for years, but making cards for others helped her focus on something greater than herself. And she turned that into essentially a side gig, a charity, something to help other kids and other people dealing with the issue. Rebecca's mom played a huge role in making this thing happen, calling her daughter an absolute miracle. Read the story, a great way to end your Wednesday with a story like this, and not a dig against Taylor Swift. Trust me, I have plenty of digs against Taylor Swift. This one we're not going to give into because we want to end on the niceties. And we want to transition into our teaser story for today. This is a news story that we could talk about tomorrow based on your feedback, your reactions, your literal engagement with the story. The headline for the story reads like this: U.S. falls significantly in global ranking for gender equality. This is a big report going on saying that the money that women are making versus men is not equal. We know that, but at the rate it's going, because it's getting better, it will be more or less equal in about 100 years from now. Yes, somewhere around 2130-ish or something. You want to talk about this one? It's very simple. Go to our websites, or go to our website and learn about our feeds on Facebook and Twitter, and go there. Facebook.com/This Is a Conversation Project and Twitter.com/TH_conversation. Check out our feeds, and as you see them come by, the stories, every 50 minutes we post new headlines through those stories. We want you to check them out and just engage. Like them, love them, hate them, share them. The more you engage in a story, the more you literally just poke around, the better it gets in a score. The better chance of us talking about it in a following day. We will take 8 stories from top 15 over the next day, 30 hours basically. We get about 30 to 33 based on how things get posted. We'll take top 15, pull 8 of those stories out, and they won't be in any particular order, but we'll give them to you so you have a full newscast for this thing. On Mondays, we give you 10 stories from top 30 for the full weekend. Let's do a little talk about our sponsors here. The sponsors help things work around here, and we are highlighting today's sponsor being Blinkist. Blinkist has got a lot of big updates popping up there that you want to check out, because if you're a fan of fast information, which we try to give you here, Blinkist will get you fast information on the books that you don't have time to read. You do have time to read them because Blinkist makes that happen. They take the big key points from all great books, great nonfiction books, and some autobiographies, and they break them down into blinks. They take them into the pure essence of what's important and give them to you in things that you can read or listen to in about 15 minutes. Most of the books are done in about 15 minutes. There are some big 12, 14-hour unabridged tomes that may take 30 or so. But trust me, you can knock it out instead of in days or many, many hours. Take it down in a half hour to 15 minutes. Also, Blinkist allows you to access other people's minds, or have other people's access your mind, if you will, with Blinkist Spaces. You create a space and you add people to it, and they have access to the book, so you can book club it using Blinks, and they don't have to be a member of the service. Check it out and use our affiliate link if you will. This is theconversationproject.com/Blinkist. This It's theconversationproject.com/Blinkist, Blinkist. As we said, this is an affiliate link, so we get a little bit back for you signing up for the full plan, but check it out. This will change your life using Blinkist. Now, this may not change your life, but it does hopefully give you a bit of some levity and some gravitas to what's going on. I guess that means it could change your life. We're talking about our website, and we're talking about the Conversation Project, and we're going to talk about another promotion in just a second. But let me do the standard spiel here. If you enjoy what we have here, if you're watching this or listening to this one, enjoy what's going on here, stop by our website, which is theconversationproject.com. Yes, there's this other thing called the Conversation Project. Yes, they're well funded. Yes, people actually know them because they're a quote unquote real news organization. We are just an aggregator that likes to have conversations with people, but we think we're doing pretty good. If you think we're doing very well as well, check us out and see if you want to help support us by partnering up or just visiting some of our sponsors. You can find more details about where to find our products and services and our various different media things for the Conversation Project at the website as well. TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, the Facebook and Twitter feeds, all that stuff at the website. And one more time, if you think we're doing pretty good, stop by this is theconversationproject.com/partnerships and see if there's a way you want to partner up to help us go. Now, I don't have it near me. I don't have a screen popped up, but this Friday, I am releasing a new book. It's actually out there right now on Amazon called a new business book, Simple Tips for Business Success. It's 18 tips that are expanded from another podcast that we do, a part of More Better Media, under our business side directly. On Friday, we're releasing the book on Kindle for $0. That means free. So on Friday, I need as many of you folks to go open up your Kindle machines, open up your phones or your apps on your computers, and get the book. We want to make this thing an Amazon bestseller. Yeah, we know, but doesn't really mean much, but people put on their book jackets. I want to as well. I'm a bit of a jealous type, so if other folks have Amazon bestseller on their books, I want it to. So look for that link. We'll provide it here in the emails, and of course in the in the videos. It will probably be a sponsor to make it work for this Friday as we do this on this Wednesday. Not quite as impromptu as I thought it was. I just didn't bring the book next to my desk and time hit, so I don't have to show it to you. Different cover for Kindle and for the real book. If you want to get the real book, I'd love that as well. But we're trying to sell as many Kindle books as possible on Friday because it's a numbers game, and that's how it works. We thank you in advance for your patronage. Now, one more thing, or a bunch more things. We're not at one more thing yet, but let's get to the bunch more things, the fun stuff for the Conversation Project. Starting off on the fun stuff with birthdays on today and celebrating birthday twins and co-workers. Meredith Baxter, formerly Bernie, and Michael Gross, both 76 years old. And I think I knew this from way back when. The stars of Family Ties, the mother and father of the Ties, essentially Alex B. Keaton's, Michael J. Fox's mother and father. Also some other big names went through there, Tracy Glass and folks as well. One of the big time storyline TV dads of the 80s that went battling back and forth with Bill Cosby, who has his issues, and Bart Simpson, who of course has his issues. But Meredith Baxter and Michael Gross, both 76 years old on this day, June 21st. Chris Pratt gets some loves as well, 44 years old on the day, of course, getting all buffed up when he moved off of TV to move to movies, and really getting, not quite buffed up, but maybe buffed down to play Mario with and without a really bad Italian accent in the Mario Brothers movie, the Super Mario Brothers movie, which the family went and saw, and it was a hoot. It was amazing. Seeing that play out, and I think they're working up to some sort of Mario cinematic universe or something going forward. I mean, they made so much money, they've got to do another one. That's kind of how it works. Chris Pratt, 44 years old on the day, flexing and doing his thing. Now let's go to today in history. Some things that happened on this day, the 21st of June. Back. Okay, so this is actually not today's stuff. This is yesterday's stuff because we did this yesterday. But I'm going to pull up the listing since we're here and go along with what we have and see what didn't happen. Don't understand what exactly happened. Oh, we just didn't change the history. There we go. We just got lazy. We'll just say that. So today in history, we're going to go with our themes for the day. Producing on the fly. Bear with us. Play the Jeopardy music here. If I had a producer, he could play Jeopardy music either. So we're going back to the 80s. Ignore the 60s. In 1982, John Hinckley was found guilty by reason of insanity for the attempted assassination of United States President Ronald Reagan. In 1989, 15-year-old West Palm Beach, 15-year-old West Palm Beach, Florida girl receives $81.25, $81.25 in damages after she sued her prom date for standing her up. Apparently it worked, and she got basically the cost of the ticket. I'm sure the dress was much more than $81. I have fears of my prom dress days coming up, not me personally, but my daughter when she has to get one. But she was able to win this case. If her date stands her up, I think we may have murder charges coming through. And in 1989, the Supreme Court ruled that the burning of the U.S. flag as a form of political protest is protected by the First Amendment, which of course brought a rash in the early 90s of people burning American flags, as you would expect. Today, June 21st, call Olaf because it's summer. And at 10:58 a.m. Eastern Time, it officially begins the longest day of the year. Summer is the longest day of the year. The fall solstice is the shortest day of the year. And so summer is officially kicking off on June 21st. Now, you can blame climate change or just blame just where you live, but it sure does feel like summer pretty much everywhere we are here in the States. Right now, I saw a news article as we went on the air for this, or a newscast, I'd say, not an article, I didn't read it, about the temperatures in Texas. The fact that, summer begins now, and people say it's hot in Texas, but Houston, for an example, has 2 days over 100, and they normally don't hit that first 100th day until around the 12th of July, which we're not close to yet. So it is hot, hot, hot. Texas itself is dealing with a lot of power grid issues. The weather here is kind of iffy, and a lot of that heat that's early is going to be churning up some possible tropical storm issues and a lot of early tornadoes. We dealt with one, I personally dealt with one 3 months ago. We may have some going on around with the weather now. So let's be wary on this summer and kind of keep people safe. There's no, hot girl summer or hot boy summer or, hot dog summer this year, as far as I've known, because it's been pretty much a kind of a blah year for 2023. But summer is officially kicked in gear right now. So enjoy it while you can. And if you have the vacay days, enjoy them while you can. And finally, one more thing you might not have heard. Washing your hands does not just keep them clean. The act can also cleanse your brain of old ideas. Researchers at the University of Toronto discovered that the action could shift goal pursuit, making prior goals less important and subsequent goals more important. Researchers suggest wiping away dirt serves as a physical substitute for mentally separating ideas that linger from previous experiences. As I often say in some of these pieces, sometimes a study doesn't need to exist because it's obvious. Sometimes a study probably doesn't need to exist because it makes no sense. This one goes in the latter. And with that, we're going to ladder ourselves out of the way for the day. My name is Jay Cleveland Payne. We got that slide right. Wednesday, June 21st, 2023. We are wrapping up the stuff for this edition of Things You Might Not Have Heard. Thank you so much for joining us, either if you're live at the 5:50 a.m. edition Central Time, or you're watching this video in the replay or listening to the podcast as we edit it going through. We appreciate everything you do with us, for us, and we'll hope that you're around with us for a while. Make sure you stop by our feeds and do the for us stuff, and you can tell us what stories we're talking about. Literally, you do the work. You set up the feeds for what we're talking about, the stories, and line up and we get them up there. If you think we're doing pretty good, stop by our sponsor and stop by our partnerships page and see if there's something you want to do to help us keep things going. And keep an eye out. We'll talk about it tomorrow. We'll have the link provided for Friday's edition to buy the book, which is not a part of this project per se, but one of my greater projects under the umbrella. It is called Simple Tips for Business Success. And you will see more details on that tomorrow. I'll show you a copy of the physical book, if you will. And we're looking to sell as many of those things for free on Friday. So help a brother out. People are asking for ways to do things that don't cost a lot of time and money. This one will cost you very little if you have a Kindle account for your Amazon. And it may be vanity, but it helps things out. I want to make sure that you know that you should stay hydrated, stay limber, and stay on task. So there's that. I need you here Friday to buy my book. I need you here every day to watch and listen to this podcast. People around you need you here, period. So let's focus on them, and I'll be the supplement, if you will. Your supplement for news comes all day long, every 50 minutes on our feed. So check them out. Tell me what you think, and literally tell me what to talk about tomorrow morning. Let's do this again tomorrow morning.